News 12 is brought to you by Kenneth Nugent. From the station that's on your side, this is News 12 First at 5.
Good afternoon. Celebrating Juneteenth for the first time as a federal holiday, a holiday celebrating freedom for all of America.
And on Capitol Hill, the January 6th hearings call for Georgia's Secretary of State to stand to talk about President Trump's pressure during the 2020 election.
But let's start things off with the weather because we're off to a brand new work week. Holiday for a lot of people as we check in with First Alert meteorologist Anthony Carpino. Anthony, no triple digits today, and that's fine with us.
Yeah, it was actually wonderful this morning, Anthony.
Oh, it was gorgeous. You know, today, this morning, we actually tied a record low. We made it to 55 degrees in Augusta, which tied the record that was set back in 1995. And, you know, this afternoon, we made it all the way into the 80s, right around 89 degrees here in Augusta, actually feeling cooler than the actual temperature right now with our dew points still into the 50s. Let's talk temps around the CSRA. 93 degrees out there in Evans. It's 94 in Aiken, upper 80s and low 90s for some of our southern counties as well. And as you're heading out the door later on this evening, maybe you're going to be firing up the grill. We are going to be seeing those temperatures continue to warm, sticking to those upper 80s, maybe just getting to about 90 degrees, but then cooling things back down a little bit more by about 8 o'clock into the lower 80s. And if you do have any outdoor plans later on this evening and into tomorrow morning, we are going to see those temperatures dipping down into the low 60s by tomorrow morning. So not quite as cool as what we had today, but still a nice start for our Tuesday, warming up into the upper 80s by about midday, and then things are going to be coming a little bit more warm. 97 for about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and then we're going to be talking about some more warmer temperatures as we go through the next several days, getting closer to 100 both on Wednesday and Thursday. We'll have another check at the forecast coming up in about 10 minutes. Guys, back to you.
All right, thanks for that, Anthony. A weekend celebrating Juneteenth continues today. We saw parades, vendors, and music for everyone to enjoy.
Nick Violin is in our studio now, Nick, to show us how Juneteenth is more than celebrating the turn of freedom in the U.S.
That's right. A little over a year ago, President Joe Biden signed a bill making Juneteenth a federal holiday. But this holiday has been around for way longer than that. Juneteenth has been celebrated as early as the 1860s. It celebrates when federal troops arrived at Galveston, Texas, to announce that enslaved African Americans were free, 2 years after Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. Today, local African American leaders say this holiday is important for us to not only look at one group of people, but to look at what Juneteenth means for all of us.
It means celebrating freedom not only for African Americans who formed the basics of the slave trade from the 1600s into the 1800s, but for everyone to take a look at history and at the complete history of this country.
Curtis extended her appreciation to Opal Lee, also known as the grandmother of Juneteenth, for what she did, saying she, quote, fought the good fight in order to make Juneteenth a federal holiday.
Nick, thanks very much for that. Augusta started recognizing Juneteenth as a city holiday even before it became a federal holiday.
Mayor Hardy Davis proclaimed June of 2020 that June the 19th would be Juneteenth Day.
Also today, the Sheriff's Office in Tolliver County canceling their search for a missing man. They located a man who went missing over the weekend. Deputies found Tommy Harris just before 3 this afternoon. They say he's okay.
Some good news to pass along. 6 people hurt, though, 3 in critical condition after a taxi in New York City jumps the curb. Showing you aerial footage from around 1 o'clock or so this afternoon. The driver jumped a curb in Manhattan, and officers say it then crashed into a building, all just a few feet from the Empire State Building. A busy stretch there. Police say about 15 to 20 New Yorkers attempted to pick the cab off of the people it hurt. The driver of the cab was one of the 6 people taken to the hospital. A shooting near a D.C. concert ends with a teenager dead and 3 others injured, including an officer. Video from yesterday evening shows crowds running away when they heard the shots fired. You can see the crowd gathering around a truck, forming on the sidewalk before everyone started running. D.C. police chief says they blocked off the area and shut down the concert, but later a shooting broke out nearby, killing a 15-year-old boy and injuring the officer and then 2 others. Police say they have not found the suspected shooter.
The Texas House Investigation Committee looking into that Uvalde mass shooting last month. They want to know what happened there at elementary school when the gunman opened fire, killing 21 people. Those officers facing heavy criticism for their response time. It's considered the second deadliest school shooting in the U.S. Parents say they begged those officers to enter the building. The school district and police officers have already testified. The committee will finish their investigation by the middle of July.
Members of the House January 6th committee say they have not ruled out a subpoena for former Vice President Mike Pence. All of this comes after last week's hearing examining former President Trump's efforts to put pressure on Pence into overturning the 2020 election results.
As Natalie Brand tells us, members of the panel say they've received death threats as they push forward with more hearings this week.
Monday, former Vice President Mike Pence appeared publicly just days after the bombshell House January 6th committee hearing, highlighting the danger he faced last year for refusing to block the certification of the 2020 election.
You know, we've all been through a lot over the last several years. A global pandemic, social unrest, a divisive election, a tragic day in our nation's capital.
Former President Donald Trump attacked his former vice president in rallies over the weekend, and he continued to spread the false election claims at the center of this month's congressional hearings.
We had a rigged and stolen election. The former president is continuing on his campaign to undercut confidence in the election system.
Committee members have warned of a continued risk of political violence. Congressman Adam Kinzinger, one of two Republicans on the panel, tweeted a picture of a letter sent to his wife containing a threat to execute him and his family.
There is violence in the future, I'm going to tell you. And until we get a grip on telling people the truth, we can't expect any differently.
The Select Committee has scheduled more hearings this week. Tuesdays will focus on the former president's campaign to pressure state election officials. A star witness set to testify, Georgia's Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, who received this now infamous phone call from Mr. Trump days before January 6th.
I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have.
Arizona's Speaker of the State House is expected to testify about efforts to get the Arizona State Legislature to override President Biden's win in his state. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Thursday's January 6th hearing is expected to focus on efforts to pressure the Justice Department.
Former Acting Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen scheduled to testify that day. Busy weekend for firefighters in North Georgia. They had their hands full with a wildfire in Gainesville yesterday. All of it starting south of Interstate 985 with smoke rising next to some power lines there. They say about 4 acres burned, but they did manage to contain it. They say it's under control today.
When we come back, a dad gets the best gift yet over the weekend, and it made him and his family jump for joy. Anthony?
Guys, we're going to talk about some warmer temperatures moving into the CS right back closer to 100 degrees on Wednesday and Thursday. But fortunately, the humidity isn't going to be quite as bad as what we saw last week. We'll break down the full forecast coming up next.
Diamond Lennox Dealer.
The WRDW News app on your Roku, Amazon Fire, or Apple TV store. Even if you cut the cord, you don't have to lose your local news. Just type in or search WRDW, and you've got your local news, first alert weather, sports, and more for free.
Here's something you don't hear very often. 3 Georgia earthquakes in the last 4 days, with the most recent centered near Fort Gordon. The U.S. Geological Survey reporting a 2.1 magnitude quake happening around 4 o'clock in the morning. Then Saturday, a 3.9 magnitude quake rattling areas near Stillmore, Georgia, but the shake could be felt as far away as here and in Macon, all over on the coast down in Brunswick. And here's a map of the impact. You can see how it just extends throughout the river region. Friday, a quake hit a few miles west of Evans.
If we could feel the impact of the earthquake near Stillmore all the way over here, okay, just imagine how strong it must have been for the people closest to it. Many people who live in Metter had never felt an earthquake before.
I felt this loud boom sound, and then at the house, I felt my house shook. I'm like, oh my God, am I dreaming? No, I really felt that.
We don't expect an earthquake in this area, but if the earth was really rumbling and things were falling all over the place, we would certainly, try to get up under something so that we wouldn't get hurt. Fortunately, there wasn't any damage, but you know what? We know what it's like to be them because
Yeah.
Valentine's Day after the ice storm,
We remember that.
we remember that, and it was loud. We thought our tower had fallen down.
It was such a strange
It
sensation.
really was.
Something like, some people describe it as like a big military chopper coming out of your house or a low truck rumbling
Yep.
next to you. I think it's the sound that threw me off. I didn't realize earthquakes had sound.
Right.
Yeah.
We didn't.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
and so obviously the people in Metter,
Yeah.
we feel you because we know exactly what that's like to not know what's going on.
But Anthony, the range of the quake
Yeah.
was really amazing.
That's pretty cool too. You think just south of Emmanuel County, and it can be felt all the way here in Augusta. We even have reports all the way in Columbia as well. So it is a very wide-reaching event, and that's something that we don't see all that often. And it is pretty cool when you think about you actually can hear the earthquake and you also can feel it. But yeah, that was a 3.9 magnitude earthquake that occurred early over the weekend. So pretty interesting stuff there. Now check this out. This morning we had temperatures on the cooler side. We actually tied a daily low temperature record. The original record was set back in 1995 of 55 degrees. Now it's not going to be getting that cool as we go through the next couple of mornings. Unfortunately, it's going to get a little bit more sticky as we go through the next few days. But for now, we are nice and sunny. Our dew points are actually still pretty comfortable in the upper 50s, and our temperatures are right around 89 degrees. Feeling just a little bit cooler than that. 90s to be found north of the interstate, 94 in Edgefield and 93 in Crawfordville, and sticking to the low 90s and the upper 80s in some of our central and southern counties. If you have any outdoor plans for the rest of this evening, getting closer to about 6 o'clock, we'll see those temperatures dipping down into the mid-upper 80s and then continue to fall back into the mid-70s by about 9 o'clock this evening, and even getting into the lower 70s by about 11 o'clock. Now, by tomorrow morning, not going to rule out a few isolated locations getting closer to those upper 50s, but I think many of those sticking to those low 60s, about 62 here in Augusta, and then we are going to continue to warm things up as we go through the next couple of hours as we go through portions of tomorrow afternoon. So we'll start tomorrow morning off in the 60s and 70s, and then warming things all the way up into the 90s into the later on into the day, about 97 degrees in Augusta, and not going to rule out a few locations possibly getting closer to that 100-degree point. So it's going to be warm tomorrow, but here's our current setup. We do have high pressure over us in the CSRA, and we do have a lot of that flow coming in out of the northeast. That's keeping us dry, and that's keeping us nice and cool and not all that sticky. But the stickiness is going to start to go up over the next couple of days. As we get closer to Wednesday and Thursday, we'll notice a change there and becoming a little bit more sticky through Friday and even lasting into the upcoming weekend. And with more of those stickier conditions, it's going to be feeling just a little bit warmer. So actual temperatures on Wednesday and Thursday going to be right around 100, but going to be feeling closer to 102 to about 105. So fortunately, not as sticky as what we saw last week with heat index values closer to 110 and even 115 in a few spots. The chance for rain will increase once we get past Thursday into Friday. A few scattered showers possible Friday afternoon and lingering in through portions of the upcoming weekend as well. So let's go hour by hour through this. We are going to watch that potential for a few of those isolated showers both on Thursday into Friday, but over the next 7 days, most locations staying dry through about Thursday. Going to be warm though, right around 100 degrees, and there's that chance for an isolated shower or two coming on this weekend.
Anthony, thank you. Father's Day is done for the year, but a surprise gift for this Georgia dad will have an impact for years to come. An extreme home makeover bringing this Paulding County dad to tears.
Dale Osborne is a single father of 3. He is the first ever recipient of a program to help single fathers who are setting a great example. The living room, kitchen, bathroom, and bedrooms are all refurbished with new floors, new paint, new furniture, and new appliances.
I never imagined nothing like this would happen for me. I'm just an average person, just doing what I'm supposed to do. So I never expected anybody to ever notice it. I'm just doing what I know I need to do for my kids.
How about that? A single dad getting it done there. The initiative is thanks to interior designer Mona Stephen. She says she recreated the space. This recreated space is all about dad and the kids for them to enjoy. Wow, what a gift that is.
I love that.
Yeah.
Love that so much.
Very nice.
Plus, we're taking a moment to highlight a special gift for a local dad. All right, check out this billboard. It is sending a big thank you to Brandon Russell. The note from his family says, "We love you so much and appreciate everything you do for us."
His wife tells us they have 6 kids together. She says he already has everything he needs, so she just wanted to do something a little different this year, and it was a big hit. And to all you fathers out there, if you didn't hear it enough over the weekend, happy Father's Day. We need you to do what you are doing. We appreciate you, dads.
Yeah, back at you, Richard.
Thank you very much.
Father of 2 grown kids, you have done well. You have two good humans out there in the world,
so
Richard.
Good. Knock on wood.
An interest rate hike hopes to help tackle inflation, but what exactly does that mean for home buyers? We'll take a look ahead on News 12, first at 5.
The live icon.
$9.99. If you're thinking about buying a home, there's something you should know. Georgia's housing expert speaking out after the Federal Reserve's recent rise in interest rates.
The 0.75 percentage point interest rate hike came last week in an effort to curb rising inflation. And as Flynn Snyder reports, some homebuyers say it is impacting their search process.
For homebuyer Jenna Thornton, the recent interest rate hikes are putting a pinch on her home buying process.
It jumped up a whole 0.5% within the month that we started really looking.
She says the interest rate on her mortgage loan increased to nearly 6%, forcing her to speed up the search process.
And now, there's low inventory and high rates, and so it's just not a great place to be as a buyer. You just got to do what you got to do.
The interest rate increase will impact a potential buyer's decision whether to purchase a home, says local real estate broker Jenny Rutherford.
The people that have been sitting on the fence hoping that pricing was going to go down are now starting to get a little scared because the rates are going up, and that means what they can afford is a lot less.
Rutherford says she doesn't expect too big of a slowdown for Savannah's housing market, spurred by those moving to the area from up north.
Now they're able to come to Savannah, markets like Savannah, and purchase a lot larger of a home or a more luxury property for a lot less than what they could get in their market. So we're seeing a lot of cash coming into Savannah, and I don't think that the demand is going to drop for houses.
Rutherford is urging anyone looking to buy or sell a home in the next couple of years to do so sooner rather than later to avoid any more potential increases in interest rates.
Talk to a lender now, lock in your rate, and make an offer because the rates aren't going to get any cheaper anytime soon.
And despite the at times stressful process, Thornton is looking forward to moving into her new home.
So stress is the biggest factor that's really affecting us, but at the end of the day, we feel at peace knowing, that we are owning a home, and it's still really exciting.
It isn't all bad news for home buyers, though. Rutherford says that while the price to borrow money is going up, home prices, they're pretty much remaining steady. So that means more options and maybe even more inventory for potential buyers.
Okay, South Carolina drivers getting a slight bit of a relief at the pump as the average price per gallon falls a little bit. In Aiken County, the average price nearly $4.50 a gallon. In Richmond County, you're paying about $4.40 per gallon. Both sides of the river still below the national average of nearly $5 a gallon right now for a gallon of gas. As the country commemorates Juneteenth, some organizations are looking at how far the push for equality still has to go.
Peter Zambo speaks with one group about what more needs to be done.
The civil rights organization National Urban League releases what it calls its State of Black America report each year. With Juneteenth being recognized across the country, the organization's president, Mark Morial, says there is still a lot to do in the fight for equality in this country.
I'm a passionate optimist. I believe in the promise of the nation.
The report that first began in 1976 looks at racial equality data metrics in economics, employment, education, health, housing, criminal justice, and civic participation. This year, NUL found an equality index of 73.9%, meaning if white people have 100% equality, black people are lagging 26.1% behind.
On our watch, what we should do is say our goal is to narrow it.
Morial says he's optimistic about closing the inequality gap, but believes much of that relies on policy. He thinks the country will be better off if the gap is narrowed, arguing GDP will rise, crime will go down, and life expectancy will go up. Voting rights are also top of mind for Morial in this midterm election year. He wants barriers to voting eliminated, particularly in communities of color.
All of us has a vested interest in high voter turnout from all communities.
NUL also included its first ever Pulse of Black America poll this year. To close the equality gap in this country, the survey found a vast majority of Black Americans believe in the power of voting. They also believe elected officials are not doing enough to protect voting rights. In Washington, I'm Peter Zampa.
Millions of Americans are off today in observance of Juneteenth, but fewer than half the states recognize the holiday for their government workers.
Well,
temperatures over the next couple of days are going to be warming up and could be getting close to record highs by the time we get through the day on Wednesday. The record to beat is 101, and it's going to be a forecast high of about 100 degrees. We'll have another check of those temperatures coming up in just a minute.
You already know, car wrecks. So if you've been injured in a car wreck, let's have a conversation.
Judah, do yourself a favor and I hope that you learn. Been in the wreck, call the Mike Hostelo Law Firm.
As a prosecutor, Charlie Bailey fought gun violence. You know how important that issue is to me. It's why Stacey Abrams and I are proud to endorse Charlie Bailey for Lieutenant Governor to keep fighting for our families.
Well, as we continue on through the rest of this evening, our temperatures are going to be cooling out of the upper 80s and eventually getting into the 60s by tomorrow morning. But if you have any outdoor plans over the next couple of hours, sticking to those lower 80s through about 8 o'clock with mostly sunny skies. And tomorrow is going to be the first day of officially summer. That begins at closer to about 5:13 in the morning tomorrow, and we're going to see sunset closer to about 8:40 tomorrow evening. And it's going to be feeling like summer right on cue. 98 degrees is what it feel like tomorrow afternoon, and we're going to be seeing those heat index values getting closer to 102 and 105 by the time we get through the afternoon on Wednesday going into the day on Thursday. We're also going to stay dry through Wednesday, but the chance for showers will slowly start to increase by Friday and even lasting into the upcoming weekend. The chance for a few scattered showers both on Saturday as well as through the day on Sunday. Here's a look at your temperatures over the next couple of days. Closer to 97 tomorrow for the first day of summer and 100 possible as we go through Wednesday and Thursday. We'll start to slowly cool things back down on Saturday and Sunday with highs closer to 94 and 95 degrees.
A few hot days ahead, Anthony, thanks. The windows of a downtown business shattered after a chase and another deadly shooting on Broad Street. We break down what we know when First at 5 continues.